In Unit 14, Section C, we're going to talk about conversion offenses, which are a part of our theft scheme. Now, in the first two sections, we talked about trespassery and fraudulent theft offenses, and they, of course, deal with the unlawful taking of property. All theft offenses do. But in those cases, the offense occurs at the moment of acquisition. The mens rea, or the criminal intent, must exist at the moment of acquisition. In contrast, conversion offenses deal with persons who convert another's property while in lawful possession of the property. So here's a situation in which someone acquires lawful possession of the property of another, and then afterwards, and we're talking about lawful possession now, not title, afterwards forms the criminal intent to steal this property or to convert this property. Embezzlement is one of the more common aspects of this. Here are the elements of embezzlement, and we'll talk first about the conversion, keeping in mind that that's not the title of this type of theft, but conversion is an essential element of embezzlement. So insufficient acts of conversion would be casual use or slight damage or slight movement to another location. An embezzler need not convert the property for his own benefit. In fact, it could be converted for the benefit of another as long as it was in fact converted. Of personal property known to be another's, in most states, property that is subject to embezzlement includes choses in action such as bonds, stock, promissory notes, things of that sort. Known to be another's, if the property is actually owned by the accused or he believes it is his own, there can be no embezzlement. Partners cannot embezzle partnership assets. There are other crimes for that. And co-owners of jointly titled properties cannot be embezzled by those in lawful joint possession. Again, there are other crimes for that kind of theft. With the intent to defraud, the accused must specifically intend, it's a specific intent crime, to do an act which seriously interferes with the property rights of the owner, the conversion of the property of the owner. Minor or temporary use, again, is insufficient. Intent to restore is no defense, and actual restoration is no defense. By a person in lawful possession as the result of a fiduciary relationship is really a distinguishing factor. It's a critical element of embezzlement. For embezzlement, the accused must have been in lawful possession at the time of conversion as a result of the entrustment. These kinds of fiduciary relationships include lawyers who run afoul of their clients' funds, agents, employees, bailees, administrators, guardians, executors, trustees, and bankers. All of these fiduciary relationships are defined in the law and come with special duties, special responsibilities. Intent, again, must be formed after acquisition. In order for possession to be lawful, the intent to convert must be formed after the taking of possession. If the accused intended to convert at the time of acquisition, the crime would be larceny by trick instead. Larceny by conversion is just like embezzlement, except that it does not require that the lawful possession result from a fiduciary relationship. So all the other elements are the same, but what's missing is that fiduciary relationship, and we would simply call this larceny by conversion. It is a gap filler, as we say. It covers conversions and frauds that might otherwise go unpunished. Larceny by conversion also allows conviction of a renter or a borrower of property who forms the intent to steal after acquisition. The overlap between larceny by conversion and embezzlement, and when you have an overlap, the accused can be charged with both offenses, but convicted of only one. And what usually happens then is if you're charged with both is the prosecutor can leave it to the jury to decide which one applies, because again, it's overlap. The distinctions are not all that clear to everyone. So rather than lose the case on a misunderstanding, a misinterpretation, or confusion, a prosecutor will charge both and let the jury pick. Receiving stolen property is a related offense. It consists of the acquisition of personal property, knowing it has been stolen, with the intent to permanently deprive the owner thereof. Acquisition, property is received when the accused exercises dominion and control over it. Knowledge, the accused must actually know that the property is stolen at the time he receives it, and the property must actually be stolen. And as for intent to permanently deprive, the accused has an unconditional intent to return it to the owner when he acquired it. If he has that unconditional intent to return it to the owner when he acquired it, there's no crime. But to sell it or hold it for a reward is sufficient for a conviction. Common law burglary is something else we'll look at. Now, we've talked about burglary a lot. Usually, though, in terms of the fact that it's an enumerated felony, one of the designated felonies in the Pennsylvania Crime Code for felony murder or second-degree murder. But here's the common law statement of the crime of burglary. It's the trespassory breaking and entering of the dwelling of another in the nighttime with a specific intent to commit either a felony or any larceny therein. It is a forcible enumerated felony sufficient for felony murder, as we've discussed. Trespassory breaking and entering. The first three elements of burglary define the conduct dimension of the offense. And while each term modifies the other, they embody separate meanings and requirements. As for trespassory, the trespassory requirement is designed to deal with unlawful entries to a dwelling. The primary focus is on consent. An entry without valid consent of the occupier is sufficient to meet the trespassory requirement of common law burglary. Now, that's it for Section C. Again, you will not be tested on this. There will be no assignment regarding theft law, any of the theft offenses, or any aspect of this presentation. However, I want you to know that next week I will be giving you some information regarding the exam. I don't want you to be anxious, and I can assure you that it is perfectly manageable for all that you've learned and all the hard work that you've done. And we will get into it in more detail next week when I deliver a message regarding that exam. So take it easy, relax as best you can under the circumstances, and begin to prepare yourselves for this examination period. It will certainly be different than anything I'm used to or that you may have anticipated, but we're going to get through this, and you will have completed your first year of law school and be on your way by the time this exam period is concluded. Take care now.